What's going, guys? How you doing? Let me turn down this exposure a little bit. There we go. Looks a bit better. This is part 2 of the video I uploaded yesterday. I wanted to kind of continue with the conversation I had yesterday's video. I'll link it right there. I posted a video where I looked through a bunch of pictures that I had printed and kind of came to the realization that even though I've owned full-frame cameras and other more expensive cameras, the ones I printed were off of smaller and oftentimes cheaper cameras because they're the ones that I brought with me. So then I got to thinking about camera buying, right? And you see all this stuff online right now about like new cameras coming out, like the Canon EOS R5, whatever, Nikon, the Z8 that's being rumored, EM1 Mark III just came out, all these different cameras, right? Leica, whatever, doesn't matter. And I got to thinking about the buying decision criteria, or the decision process. And so I wanted to help you guys out because I've gone through this a lot. And I think maybe I can offer at least one approach into how to buy a camera. So let's start there. All right, now certainly this is not the only way, and I'm sure I'll miss something here, but here's what my thoughts are. The first thing you gotta do is decide what's your overall budget, right? Or at least have an idea of where you wanna be. For me, for a camera body, it was between $1,000 and $1,500 because undoubtedly, I would love to have like a Leica, but that's just not sensible. Second thing is you have to decide if you're gonna be pro, a hobbyist, an enthusiast, or whatever it is. And for me, I'm more of like a hobbyist, enthusiast with, sometimes I do some paid stuff in terms of portraits or event photography or whatever. From there, you have to decide what kind of photography you're gonna do. Now, for me, I'm not doing weddings, at least not yet, and I'm not really aspiring to do weddings because my weekends are my family time, and I just, right now I'm not at that phase yet. But for me, I'm doing portrait work, senior portraits, family portraits. I'm doing event photography. I like to shoot landscapes. I like to do street photography and documentary style photography. And so from that, where I pick the type of photography that I'm interested in, I then decide what characteristics to do that photography are important. I won't write the list off here, but some of those are, the other thing, video. Right? Can't forget video. It's part of the YouTuber's life these days. So considering all those things, here's what I consider at least important to me to do those types of photography that I enjoy doing. Number one is size. And I've come to this conclusion over purchasing several bigger cameras and then leaving them home. So size is important. 2, I prefer a full articulating screen of some sort so I can see myself. I'm looking over here, frame myself, at least see what it looks like, make sure everything's working properly. In-body image stabilization I think is important, especially if you're doing landscapes or you're gonna do kind of vlogging. Good autofocus. So most cameras these days have good autofocus, but not all. The ability to do video with a mic in jack. Some cameras don't have a mic input. That's important to me. Point being is you go through the list and you make this list. What's not important to me right now anyways is dual card slots. I know it's great to have redundancy, especially if you're getting paid for stuff. Dual card slots, not absolutely necessary. I would prefer weather sealing, especially if I'm going to go out and shoot more landscaping, but not totally necessary, but I'd like to have it. What else? Like full frames, like sensor size, I think is relatively unimportant for something like that. I think about shooting weddings, being able to have a full frame sensor might be important, but for now it's not necessarily important to me. In fact, size trumps that. And then from there, when you pick what criteria are important based on the type of photography you are either doing or aspire to do, you then make a list, go through all the manufacturers, Olympus, Panasonic, Sony, Canon, Nikon, Fuji, Pentax, whatever, and write down all their cameras. And then make a little chart, price, and then go through your criteria. Do they have IBIS? Do they have a flip screen? Do they have a mic input? Do they do video? Do they have good autofocus? 2 card slots, weather sealed, all these things, and go down there. And then you'll end up with like a top 5 list. And just off the bat, like you'll know then from an emotional standpoint which ones you kind of leaning toward, not leaning toward, and you can make a more educated decision. I think I bring this up to you guys because what's happened a lot of times, you go on YouTube and you see somebody else that puts amazing images up with a different brand camera, and you're like, oh my gosh, it's amazing. Or you see stuff like what's going on with the Canon R5, and you're like, oh my gosh, 8K? It's a game changer. I'm instantly become a better creator because I have 8K and I can shoot 10-bit. My point being is that it becomes very emotional. Even though people like to talk facts and specs to back it up, it becomes a very emotional. And the truth is, if you really think you're going to be a better content creator or do better at photography, make better photos, because you shoot 8K or because it's got 40 megapixels instead of 26 or whatever, then I'd say go for it. But for me, what I know is if I bring the camera with me more often, then I will definitely take more photos, which will allow me the opportunity to make better pictures and better videos. What's up, guys? Hi. Some kids just walked by. And so if I want to advance my photography, that's what's most important. Also, like with some of the stuff they're doing inside the Panasonic and Olympus cameras, the Pro Capture or Pro Photo, whatever they call it, where it buffers photos. If I'm going to do some wildlife, that's important, right? Am I going to go hiking with the big 1DX Mark II over my shoulder? Probably not. Some people do. It might not matter to you. But I think what I'm trying to persuade you guys to think about is take the emotion out of the camera, even though cameras are very emotional and they have to inspire you. Write down what's important to you based on the type of photography you want to do or are doing. Set a kind of a budget. You might have to adjust it after you figure out what that costs you. Figure out what lenses you're going to use. That's the other important one, right? Lens size is definitely important, and lens cost. And then go from there. This sounds kind of obvious, I know, but I think I got caught up in a lot of this, and I know a lot of other people have gone in the YouTube comment section and are just so emotional about camera brands and sensor size and all sorts of different stuff. And you end up making the wrong purchase like 30 times. So that's it. I just wanted to get that out there. This isn't any kind of crazy video. If you guys think this is useful, thanks. Give me a thumbs up. If you thought this was absolutely stupid, give me a thumbs down. That's okay. And let me know in the comment section below what you think the right process is to picking your next best camera. See ya.